Hi, I'm Robin Miller. Today, my guest today is Bettina Zumdeck, the director and owner of the Culinary Medicine School. Welcome to my show.
Hello, Robin. Good to see you.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
As we film in May 2019, this will be my 20th year on TV. Stay tuned for my 20th anniversary show coming up the end of May. So, welcome, and I'm glad that you're here to talk more about healthy living and healthy heart. And today is Healthy Liver.
Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the healthy liver. And the liver is really an incredibly important organ in our body. And I think many times people don't give it the respect that it really needs, partly because the liver is one of those organs also that doesn't have pain receptors. I mean, the outside of the liver, the lining does, but the inside of the liver doesn't have pain receptors. So we oftentimes don't realize when we harm our livers and when our livers are not doing well, because it just won't tell us. It will work hard. Now, according to Oriental understanding, the liver is considered like the general in the body. It directs everything, and it has many, many functions that it performs. I mean, more than 500 in women, even more than in men, but an incredible amount of work that the liver does for us. And, you know, it's sort of a little bit of a silent organ, so we can easily run over it.
It's a big organ.
It's also a big organ. It's about 3 pounds in a, average weight person. It is deep red in color, which shows us that there's a lot of blood flowing through the liver that gets filtered. It has also tremendous regenerative effects. Regenerative effects, I mean, in the sense that you can lose 4/5 of your liver and your liver will regenerate and function still normally, which is really amazing. The other organs, you couldn't lose 4/5 of an organ and it...
Not yet.
No. But the liver is one of those organs that is really quite amazing. And what does it do? Well, I mean, of course, it creates nutrients coming from the food. It stores vitamins, sugars, fats. It also breaks down harmful substances, toxins, etc. It filters out detrimental substances, such as when our blood has too much cholesterol floating in it. It will filter it out so that we're not dealing with too much cholesterol. It makes sure that the body has just the right amount of chemicals, and actually, in that sense, there's something very specific that the liver does. I mean, we, eat food, it goes down through the digestive system into the intestines, and then the nutrients get absorbed and through the hepatic vein going into the liver, and then they are processed in such a way that many of these nutrients coming from food are then specifically coded, or something is done to them so that they work more properly and effectively in our body in repairing cells, in renewing cells in all parts of the body. So very, very, it does very important work. And of course it produces also bile, which is in between mealtime stored in the gallbladder, and the bile that is then stored in the gallbladder when we eat foods, especially fatty foods, it gets ejected into the intestines, and the bile acts sort of like when you have a greasy frying pan and you have detergent, you can clean up the fat, so it dissolves the fat, and similarly in the intestines, it dissolves the fat in the intestines with the watery content so that they can be broken down and used.
A lot.
a lot. And of course, these are just some of the things that I'm mentioning, but the liver does a lot, yes.
And also it does drugs,
Well, it's
medications.
yeah, and with medications, of course, when we're looking at medications, many medications are also based on petroleum, and the liver doesn't really like that. So the liver really has to work to break down medications, etc. And other toxins, not only from medications or excess medication in the body, because the liver is monitoring what is going in the body, what the body needs. If there's too much medication, the liver will try to adjust where things go or whether they need to be flushed out. The liver is also one of those organs, unfortunately, because it is a filter, filtering out toxic substances and, like too much alcohol, etc.
Yes.
But toxins also, let's say, from foods, pesticides, fertilizers, from body care products, because unfortunately the body care products oftentimes are not that good quality, and everything that goes through our skin gets directly absorbed into our bloodstream and will need to get filtered out by our liver. And so then the liver is dealing with these kind of problems, like parabens, etc., that the liver has to take care of. Bug sprays, more natural would be easier for the body, because what kills the bug has a little bit harmful effect on our liver as well. We're not as tiny as a bug, so it will not, do us in immediately. But over time, if we're using a lot of these kind of products, also household cleaners that are not as natural, if we are inhaling fumes from toxic chemicals, also paints, etc., all of that needs to and will, or the liver will try to at least take care of that. The liver is also oftentimes a storage facility, or sometimes even a hiding facility for virus, parasites, bacteria. Sometimes they, unfortunately, because let's say somebody had mononucleosis when they were younger.
Right.
Then it shows up, you're done with the mononucleosis, but many times these virus can go into the liver, burrow deep into the liver, and stay hidden there, not being available to be seen by regular medical testing.
Yes.
And then the virus, of course, also create their own toxic load in the liver that then the liver has to take care of.
Well, cancer is a virus.
Sorry?
And cancer.
And cancer of the liver, of course, is problematic, of course. That's another dynamic, not as common, but it is oftentimes also, because the liver is a silent organ, not detected very early. So,
That's true. So the liver is big, it's a mighty organ, right? Does a lot of work.
Yes.
It never complains.
And never complains.
Doesn't go on strike.
Doesn't go on strike. It will always do what it can to help you, to keep you safe.
And of no benefits, of course. The only benefit to the liver is treat it well, eat well.
That's correct.
So when people don't eat well or take in toxins from the environment, what is the signs of a liver not doing too good?
Okay, because there are, of course, liver tests that you can take, and some of them sometimes can be not as easily seeing what is actually happening in the liver. So I would say some outside signs of how the liver is doing are, and there are signs that are of physical nature and some that are of emotional nature. Like physical nature, one thing that you can check your liver is by taking your hands and going under, because the liver is right here in the lower part of the right ribs, mostly, it goes up to here, but if you can insert your fingers under the right ribs, at least the first knuckle of your fingers, and it is not hard as a rock under there, that's already a pretty good sign. If you can't insert your fingers under there, there might be problems. If you're looking down on yourself, you know, when you're lying down and the right ribs are markedly higher than the left ribs, probably there's inflammation or it may be pre-fatty liver or something like that going on.
What exactly is a fatty liver?
Well, the liver also stores fats. It stores fats that are coming from food to take them out of the bloodstream so that the blood is relatively more clean. And of course, at some point, when we're eating too many fats than what is helpful for our body to use up, the liver will try to, again, still take on more fats and more fats until it is creating a fatty liver. And it's stuffed to the hilt with fats. That's what fatty liver.
Does it change the color? Does the color change of the liver?
Well, I mean, from the pictures that I've seen, I haven't actually looked at a real person's liver. But from the pictures that I've seen, it looks like it becomes more yellowish. And that is actually another thing that you can see on the outside of your body as well. Like in the beginning, when the whites of your eyes turn yellowish, that is a sign that your liver is starting to build up more fats than is good for you. When the palms of your hands, the soles of your feet become very yellowish, that is another indicator that the liver is not doing so well.
Oh. It can either be from a food, it can be from something you ate, right? Like a mineral, like creatine.
Yeah, it can be from a number. I mean, can be from food, can be from even internal body sources. As I said, even virus, etc., can contribute to that. Other ways to diagnose how our liver is doing from the outside, I mean, trouble signs basically would be emotionally, if you're doing well and the liver is doing well, you are always being patient, you're being idealistic, always seeing the best in everybody, you know, that kind of a mindset.
Right.
If your liver is not doing so well, then we tend to be very easily frustrated, short-fused, angry or rageful outburst, violent outburst, running around with, you know, fists clenched all the time, shouting all the time, meaning a voice that is much louder than usual. Or road rage is a typical dynamic. It could also be something like passive aggressiveness when it's turned inward, when the rage is not, you know, coming out, but then it's being passive aggressive. That's another factor emotionally. If somebody is fidgety, they can't sit still, but you know.
I know those types.
That's liver trouble. Also, restless leg syndrome is usually a sign of liver trouble. Let's see, what else?
Interesting.
The toe, the big toe on both, especially on the right side, but on both legs, the big toe is also an indication of liver. If the big toe tends to go towards the second toe, and you know, then the liver is becoming too tight and too hard. If there's calluses on the big toe, that's also an indication that too many fats and proteins, usually more of animal nature, animal food nature, are building up in the liver. Let's see, then this area between the eyebrows here, sometimes, you know, when I go like this, you can see the vertical lines. So if, without going like this, you have very strong, clearly defined lines there, this is also an indication, this area is considered liver related. So this is also an indication of liver not doing as well and usually becoming burdened with excess sugars, flour products, animal foods, toxins, etc. Also, if this area, of course, is reddish or, you know, the skin color is different than the rest of the skin color, then definitely something is going on in the liver.
Wow.
somebody is itching always,
Yeah.
everywhere. That's also a sign liver is not doing so well. Another sign that I think is you yourself probably don't notice as much, but sometimes if you're living with somebody or so, you suddenly develop like a mole or some kind of odd skin color or skin discoloration on the back of your ribs on the right side, not on the front but in the back. That's usually also an indication that the liver is taxed and wishes to renew itself and wishes a rest, really.
How would the liver rest?
Well, the liver never rests truly, but
We'll slow down a little bit.
not try to work so hard. And so a few things that we can do, of course, in that direction is eating especially more leafy greens. Because liver, according to Oriental understanding, the liver is also associated with morning and springtime. And springtime, of course, we see the green shoots and green growth everywhere in nature. So leafy greens, especially also what grows early in the spring, chives, scallions, leeks, wild leeks, the ramps, fiddleheads, those kind of things. But any kind of leafy greens, really, kale, collards,
Right.
all of that will be very helpful for the liver. And I would say give your liver 2 servings a day, if possible, of leafy greens, and it will already thank you. Another factor that I think that it will be very happy with, the liver functions best, especially if the liver is already taxed a little bit. And in our world, even by going through places they are full of chemicals, like if you're sitting on the highway and inhaling the fumes or something, you're taxing your liver. So pretty much everybody who is over 40, they have some kind of, I would say, trouble with the liver. So many times that also results in problems with glycogen storage. And glycogen is the way that the liver stores like complex sugars, simple sugars, etc. But that is very important to keep our blood sugar level even. And that is what our liver needs to even use for its own regenerative effects. So when we're eating whole grains, like brown rice, like millet, like quinoa, whole grains cooked in their whole form, we give the liver something to replenish the glycogen stores. And these whole grains also have this even level of energy for a long time that then slowly gets absorbed and doesn't send us into these excess energy one moment and lack of energy the next. And that's very important for the liver. It needs an even level of energy, not by grazing constantly or I need to eat all the time. That's not the answer. But of course also regular meal times would be good. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Or if you only choose to eat twice a day, but make it regular meals, not one day overstuffing yourself and the next day not, hardly eating anything because you're so stressed running from here to there. No, I believe that regular meal times are really important for giving the liver the energy that it needs to do its work and to do its own repair and repair in the body in general.
So regarding the liver, can you also, I've read that dandelion, you can have dandelion?
Dandelion is absolutely fabulous. I should have mentioned that.
It's bitter.
It's slightly bitter, although many times the greens that you can buy in the store now as dandelions, they are not as bitter anymore, not like the ones that you pick out of your lawn.
Yeah.
But one way to make it easier to eat them is to blanch them for 10 seconds in plenty of boiling water. That takes out any bitterness, and then sautéing them with a tiny bit of oil or so, and then usually, adding a little salt or other seasoning, whatever you enjoy. That is really helpful for liver function.
And beets?
Beets are also wonderful for the liver.
Does that mean canned beets or fresh beets? Does it matter?
Ideally, of course, anything that is fresh has much more life force. So
Yes, of course.
buying your beets fresh and then cooking them into soup or into pieces that you eat like that, or grating them however you wish to prepare them. But fresh, I would say, is always better than pre-prepared and sitting on a shelf, especially for vegetables. Now, beans, I would say, okay, maybe in cans, but generally I would say vegetables as much as possible made fresh. Also, of course, the liver likes a little bit sour taste, so
Well,
sour fruits like raspberries, like cranberries, like limes, lemons, a
Lemons.
little bit like that. Adding that to your diet, or sour cherries. What else is sour?
Grapefruit? Is it grapefruit?
Yeah, grapefruits would also be helpful. Ideally, of course, eating a little bit more in season and what is local, because anything that is local, again, is more full of vibrancy. But grapefruits, if nothing else is available, or if you really crave that, then your liver will thank you.
It does talk to us. We just don't always pay attention to it.
That is true.
Now, in terms of people drinking and drugging, if you stop it, does the liver repair itself, or does the liver just figure out what to do next?
Well, if you suddenly stop something that was very toxic for the liver, and then you also adopt a lifestyle that is more healthy, the liver can actually repair itself. If you are just stopping the toxins and still your lifestyle is not conducive to renewing the liver and not giving anything to help the liver, work in reducing the toxin load, then it may just, stay at the status quo.
Yeah, I mean, I think they say, people who abuse drugs, they have bad livers or substance abuse.
Yeah, usually.
Alcohol.
Absolutely.
yeah.
It goes to cirrhosis, liver cirrhosis, scarring of the liver, and ultimately liver cirrhosis can also turn cancerous at times.
Yeah, so you have to honor and worship your liver.
I would say, yeah, we should have really respect for the liver for all that it does.
So what happens to the liver as you get older?
Well, that depends again on our lifestyle, but if the liver is in good condition, then it also supports our non-aging.
So that would be
In
helpful.
other words, it is one of those organs that can really make a huge difference in how we age. And, everybody would like to stay healthy and remain, strong and vibrant, and nothing is wrong with that, and we all should be like that. And the liver is one of those organs that can really facilitate that. So again, in order for that to happen, it is very important to give the liver what it needs, like eating leafy greens, a little bit of sour foods, whole grains, and let me talk in a moment also about things that, foods that are not so helpful, but we'll go there in a moment. But then the liver can create from the food these, let's say, antioxidants from leafy greens. It will specifically encode these antioxidants and send them to any parts of the body that needs to be repaired, renewed, rejuvenated, so that aging basically doesn't occur. And it does the same thing also for the DNA. If our liver is becoming more taxed as we age, then these specific phytochemicals, these specifically coded antioxidants, get sent out in diminished amounts, and that, of course, unfortunately, allows us to age a little bit more quickly.
Does it have anything to do with the telomeres on the DNA? I mean, they know from mindfulness meditation that the telomeres do not shrink.
That,
they,
you know,
they get, you know, if they're big, they stay big.
right, if they big, they stay big, and that the liver also plays into that, but it also plays, you know, into a role in basically all other cells of the body. But yeah, in the DNA, it works also in that, and also in repairing other, you know, things that have become frayed or, you know, not working well in the DNA.
I'm wondering if people who have cancer or chronic disease, before they take the chemo, is it a good idea to detoxify your liver first? What do you feel about that?
Well, you know, that depends on the person's condition. If the person is very strong, perhaps, but when you detoxify the liver, then the rest of the body, especially also the adrenal glands, have to work really hard to maneuver those toxins out of the system. And and that can be a little bit taxing in itself on the body. So sometimes, if the person is not so strong and they choose to, you know, or they need to do chemotherapy, I would say just doing, you know, the right amount of chemotherapy without detoxing first, and then doing doing a lifestyle change for sure, so that the body can slowly rebuild itself, but not with a strong liver flush, because that sometimes can have a weakening effect because of the amount of adrenaline that is needed to flush out the toxins. That also weakens, you know, other parts of the body.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I've seen, you know, you look in these health magazines, liver tox or colon tox, you know, not everybody can do it at that speed. I guess, like you said, depends on their health. And there's really I haven't seen any scientific or evidence-based studies on that yet. I guess everybody's different.
I would say certainly everybody's different. And I mean, there are certain things that we can always do, like celery juice in the morning, or
juices.
leafy green juice in the morning. You know, those kind of things, they will be very helpful if they are all natural, if you don't put, you know, any funny things in there, and no sugar added. But if you want a little bit of like sour green apple in there, that's perfect, but, you know, no white sugar. Then those kind of things can be good on a regular basis to slowly detox. But a very strong detox, well, that, you know, depends on the person's condition.
On the culture. We have less than 2 minutes to go. So would you like to share what's coming up with your school and, you know, anything?
Sure. On May 26th to 28th, I have another program, seasonal cooking, very in-depth 3-day cooking program about also cooking for the different organs and healing the organs. And then in the summer, we have the summer conference, the Macrobiotic Summer Conference coming up. That is on July 28th through August 3rd. And my website is www.culinarymedicineschool.com. You can also find out about the summer conference there, or go to macrobioticsummerconference.com.
All right. Well, Bettina, it was nice to have you. This is your 3rd time you've been on my show.
And I thank you very much.
Yep. Last year you talked about brain health, which was interesting. So I think we all can agree that a healthy mind, healthy body, healthy soul can increase your length on this earth, longevity, and it's really up to people to do that. Well, this has been another episode of Miller Chat. I thank Bettina Zumdek, the owner and director of the Culinary Medicine School. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.